I'm Debbie.
And I'm Allison.
And we're the Poltergals. Spooky.
Hi, I'm Debbie.
And I'm Allison.
And we're
The Poltergals.
Welcome back to another episode of the Poltergals. And on this episode, we have a very special guest. We have a Polter pal. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I am Robby Allen. I, by day, do skincare and Botox, and by night, I'm a ghost hunter.
Ooh. And you're also an author? You wear multi-hats.
Many hats.
Many
yeah.
hats.
I don't sit still.
Here on the show, anytime someone does more than one thing or a building is more than one thing, we call it a multi-hat.
Yes.
There
So you have
I'll
a
wear
multi-hat.
them.
And you're wearing you're wearing a hat right now.
Yes.
So it fits. So first off, tell us about you. Give us your little bio.
Yeah.
Well, like how I first got interested into the paranormal,
Yes.
that would have been, way back, 2005. I went with some friends to the Myrtle Plantation. Have you guys heard of that?
Yes. We have it on our list to do.
Well, it's America's Most Haunted, and I'm thinking, okay, this is all marketing. It's good marketing. It gets people in the door, but it's actually legit. I will attest to that. It took us like 3 months to get our reservation to
Oh my
go.
gosh. They're
They
booked
stay
up.
that busy.
Yeah.
And so you go during the day, and they give a tour every hour on the hour, and you get the history of the place. And I love history and old vintage homes and Victorian homes and stuff like that. So my friends, they're not so open as me. And when we went, they put us in the slave shack, which is in the back.
Oh, no.
Oh.
The original slave shack, because there were 3 beds. There were bunk beds and a full-size bed. So we're staying in there, and we had to park way off, okay? But I guess I should back up. When we first pulled onto the property, it's August, the heat of August in Louisiana. It's hot, but when we first pulled into the property, it felt like I couldn't breathe. I mean, you could feel just the oppression, I guess, is what I'm saying. But my friends, they're not into that, so they didn't catch on. I didn't tell them about this, or they'd have never went with me.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, things started happening, and they're scared because they weren't open to it. But we had to park way off, and 2 of us went back to the car to get the luggage, and my friend, she come running out there with eyes big as a deer. Don't you ever leave me in there. My phone started doing weird things or whatever. So she's already just kind of psyching herself up. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to calm her down, and so many things kept happening, and I feel, I see and experience. So I knew that a lot of it was their imagination just getting the best of them. But on the tour, they give you the history, back in the day, the slaves would wash your feet when you went to bed, right? Remember, it's August in Louisiana, and it's probably 100,000 degrees. When we go to bed, all 3 of us felt like our feet were in buckets of ice. So that's how it first started, okay? So, okay. Then we would hear this crazy knocking on the wall, and at this point, they had me so psyched up, I'm thinking it's rigged, just to get people in here. I'll get back to that in a minute. But my friend, it's a girl, I won't say their names because they are done. They will never go back. She kept feeling something stroking her face. And then my other friend said, something's holding on to my feet. I can't move my feet. And I'm like, y'all quit, because I'm trying to feel the place out for sure. So they're scared. They turn on the lights. So we're all in bed, laying there. You can see everything. And by some point in the night, all 3 of us ended up in the same bed because so many things were happening. So, okay, we got the sheets up like this, right? I'm telling you guys, all 3 of us were pinned to the bed. We could not move anything but our eyeballs. We could see the room, but could not see anything in there. Something was holding us down. It was crazy. Whenever we were out during the day, I set up my camera in the room, and there used to be an old ghost hunting show called Taps. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it.
Yep.
And they debunk everything. Well, they had a video. They were in the exact same cabin I was in, so that's why I knew to go ahead and set this up. there's a lamp on a nightstand and it moves by itself while we're out of the room. What else happened? I was talking earlier, if you smell sulfur, that's something demonic. At one point when we were pinned to the bed, we could smell the sulfur. And I'm telling you, it is a smell you will never forget. So if you ever smell it again, you know exactly what it is. It was so strong, it felt like it just engulfed your nostrils. And whenever we were released and not pinned to the bed anymore, the smell was gone.
Interesting.
Okay? Back to the knocking, whenever we got home from Louisiana, 2 o'clock in the morning, that knocking was on my bedroom door, just exactly.
Oh.
So the thing is, guys, is something can come home with you, okay?
You gotta ask it not to.
Well, no, I mean, it's going to do it.
I mean-
But if it comes home with you, it cannot stay. So it's coming just to scare you. And then that's when you say, you're not welcome here. It's got to go back at some point to its origin anyway. But if it's really messing with you, because the reasoning behind that is the more emotion you put out, the more fear, that gives them strength.
And we talk about that on the show
Yeah.
a lot. Is
Yeah.
how people feel drained, or they feel like their energy is zapped, or them drawing off of the body energy that other people put out into the space.
Exactly.
Or the more people that visit the space, i.e. haunted locations that people flock to, it just feeds into the hauntings more.
Exactly. That's like we investigated a place here in town, and I went with Dr. Cindy, the parapsychologist extraordinaire, and I tell her, don't tell people I'm a medium, because people, you know, right off the bat, they consume you and you're getting all of their energy, so you don't get what's the legit. So she didn't say anything, and we went in this building, and right off I said, yeah, there's something going on here, but it's a bus stop. And she goes, what do you mean a bus stop? I said, it was an escape room, okay? So there's so much energy, so much happy or fear or anxiety trying to get out of the room, that's just regenerating the spirit. So it's a bus stop. They stop, they get their needs, they go. So it's a constant in and out, like a rotating door type thing. What else? There is a place in Jefferson. Have you heard of Jefferson, Texas? It's up by Tyler.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
We've stayed there a few times in the historic district, and it's so cool. One thing, though, that kind of creeped me out, though, is you didn't see kids anywhere. I told my friends, I'm like, is this Children of the Corn? Because you walk into a restaurant and every head turns to look at you, and you're like,
That's just the South.
yeah, exactly. But that is where I saw my very first full body apparition. Yeah. We were on a tour, and they were giving a history of this building, and I guess the tour guide looked over my jaws on the floor, and she goes, you already saw him, didn't you? And I said, yeah. She said, every time we have a psychic or a medium, they're the only ones that see him. But it was full body, and it was period clothing, and he walked right in front of me, straight across to the house. I was just like, you know, I always feel and sense, but that was my first time to actually see.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go from there.
How
I know.
long?
Yeah. How long have you known that you're a sensitive?
I have known since I was probably 10.
Wow.
It was just something you don't talk about, and this is crazy. I'm glad you guys asked that. I was 10. I grew up in a small town, so us kids would all walk home from school, right? And there was a neighbor that all of us called Pawpaw. He was everybody's grandpa. And we were walking home from school, and I told my friends, I said, something's wrong with Pawpaw. I don't feel right. And we got home, and he had passed that day. And so from that point on, that's when I started paying more attention, that I was dead on with certain things. And what was I going to say before that? Y'all asked me. How long?
How long have you known that you were sensitive?
Oh, that's what it
Yeah.
was. I never really told anybody because, you know, a lot of people think you're nuts. And then growing up in the Bible Belt here, they really frown upon it. And I was raised Southern Baptist, and I was told you never go to that. But my personal belief is that God gives everybody spiritual gifts. And so I call it a discernment. That's what I like to call it, because
like that.
it's just a knowing, you know. Just recently I told my mom about it because I've never even told her. She was so excited because my grandma did it, her brother did it. So it's it's genetics through the
Allison
bloodline.
has some in her family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I like that you say that because growing up in a Southern Baptist area it's interesting to see that. And then same with my family. My grandma is very sensitive. She sees colors, like emotions, everything, but she doesn't feel it. She sees it in color.
Right, right.
And same with my cousin. And she does everything. And I like to say it, but it's not like, I have to be really in tune.
Well, that's the thing. You have to kind of stay in that mindset, you know, because mine has grown throughout the years because I've turned it off so many times because nobody wants to hear about it. But now I'm to the point where I can turn it on, turn it off.
Yes.
If it's where you're at, place and time.
Yes, and that's one thing Sydney says a lot is people, place, time, and it's like you said, you don't like to talk about it much.
Everybody is not open to it because of where we are. So that's why, I don't know why I didn't really tell my parents. And so now that was affirmation for me. It was kind of exciting.
As soon as I was talking to you, I was like, you got to come on my podcast.
Exactly. Because in segue to the book,
Yeah.
that's very loosely written about my grandma. Her name's Lizzie.
yeah.
So Lizzie O is the character in the book, and she had a lot of Cherokee in her. So she knew so much, you know, and she would tell me stuff when it was just me and her. So I already knew she had the gift, but I never really talked about it with anyone else.
Yeah.
And so for Mom to just say, yeah, she had it, her brother had it, and that's cool that it goes down the line.
Yeah, and it's funny to see how certain parts of that are genetic. And like you said, it's written in the Bible that there are God-given gifts.
Spiritual gifts, exactly. We all have our own spiritual gifts.
Yeah, and it's interesting how that comes about and how certain people get, like, who is more sensitive to what.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because, you know, certain people, like, you feel it. Certain people feel it. They're more of that empath. And then you have people that are very visual, that see it in colors, and it's weird to see certain things, how that plays out in certain people.
And it's, with me, I guess it's the person, place, or time, because I'm an empath. I can feel it. But sometimes it comes to me like a movie clip, so I see it up here, or sometimes I see the colors, or sometimes it's just like I would see a white rose. Why did I see that? I have to put it towards who in the room. Usually that's someone just lost someone, or if you see a red rose, tell this person I love them, and sometimes you just don't know how to piece the puzzles together, and that's why you don't talk about it. You're seeing it for a reason, but you don't know what to do with it. You know what I mean?
That's so cool.
It's very interesting.
Yep.
And, you know, being able to, walking into any random building, you don't know what's going to hit you, when it's going to hit
Exactly.
you, who it goes to, and then all of a sudden it's like walking up to that person, it's like, that's who it goes to.
Exactly. And even for me, it's crazy. I'm 53 years old. I've never driven to Dallas. I get it on the road. So if I'm driving, I'm getting hits, you know, so I'm usually always the passenger. I can usually always tell on the road where there's been an accident, and then you're like, oh, okay, you see someone has put a monument. That's why I was all distracted at that moment. So it just it hits in different ways with everyone. My grandma said that you're born with a veil over your face. That's how she would explain it. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and I know that you said that your grandmother was Cherokee, and they're super, super, like, pay attention to the spirit world.
Yes, and like, nature, and it's there. It's real.
You paying attention to really, like, your surroundings, and it's funny because my family's the same way. We have 3 bloodlines of Native American, and it's funny hearing stories of them, like...
Yes, Grandma's was Blackfoot. I've never even heard of it.
Oh, so, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
So she was very wise. Like, she would tell you little things like, if you're bleeding, you can't stop the bleeding, get a spider web. Things like that that nobody else would ever know. Put a spider web on it. It's just crazy things. I remember one time when I was little, I had a wart on my thumb. And she said, give me that wart. And I'm like, what? And she said, give me that wart. And I said, what do you mean, Grandma? She said, I want you to go in your mama's kitchen, get a dish towel, and bring it to me. And we're going to tie a knot in it for how many warts you have. And I want you to go bury it in the backyard. And, you know, my wart went away. So she knew things.
Yeah, it's crazy
Mhm.
to look at that. For me, like, how do you ever get the sensation that you're around another sensitive? Because I know
Usually
it's
you can
different.
pick it out. Usually you can, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, like if I was to go to a concert, though, I would be on overload. I would be so overwhelmed that I really couldn't. It would be like I was drunk. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it's so much coming at you at once.
Mm-hmm.
So big, huge crowds, kind of I stay away from them. But if you walk into a room and there's a few people, I can usually pick up each person's energy or emotions or what they're feeling before they even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool sometimes. Sometimes it's not because you're like, oh, I'm staying away from that person, you know?
Yeah. What was one of your most memorable experiences that you've had so far?
The most memorable, I do believe, would be at the Myrtle when we were pinned to the bed because I've never been fearful of it, you know? And for them to have that kind of control made me really start second guessing it. And that's when you really have to start learning how to ground and sage and say out loud, you can't do that to me. And
Yeah.
once you put it out there, they cannot do it, but they're going to try everything they can to. So it depends on how the person takes it. Like if I would have freaked out like my friends, that have kept messing with me to freak me out. And I was like, this is going to stop. And so whenever we were all leaving, my friends were like, we're leaving, we're done. I'm trying to call the office to let them know we're leaving at midnight. We're not making it through the night. My phone called Walmart. It called Kmart. It called every time I dialed the office
Oh my
number.
gosh.
They were interfering. They do, they get energy off electronics too. So I went through, I don't know how many batteries, and then like with my phone doing that. But like I said earlier, we had to park a long way away. The whole walk to the car, something was patting me on my shoulder, and I kept turning around, and nothing's there, but you can feel it so firm. That, and I think they were saying, don't go, don't go. I never felt threatened, except for when we smelled the sulfur, but we got rid of that, because I know how to ground. I pray. I put the blood of Jesus over it. I'm safe, and people who don't know how to do that, I can see where they could get really afraid, and that's probably why it came home with us, because they were so freaked out. So like, this sounds nuts, but like whenever you guys go and do like a hunt or whatever, if you did get freaked out and you feel like possibility something's going to come home with you, pull your car over, roadside park, side of the road, whatever, get out, open every door, the hood, the trunk, say get. And then get back in your car and go. I mean, they have to, because
I've always heard that, yeah.
it's crazy. If you don't do that, they're going to go home with you.
Yeah, I've also heard, like, when you're leaving a graveyard, you got to walk backwards through the gate, and then, like, that's why most gates around cemeteries are iron gates, so they can't cross the iron.
Right.
Or one of the ways to protect your home is to put iron spikes at your, like, or, like, old railroad ties on your front door or on your property line so that the spirits can't come on, as well as some other, like, Native American and Catholic rituals, like we've talked about, like growing rosemary on your doorstep, having cinnamon at your doorway, just little simple things. And so I know you talked about saging, so I know there's been a kind of more of a controversy about using white sage for the Native American lands, and now it is going, it's not as popular anymore because now it's been overused.
Right.
So what are your takes on saging?
Well, I mean, sage does kill 99.9% of germs. You may
Right.
not like the smell in your house, but it's going to clean the air, so that's a good thing. But saging is always going to be your intent, what you're putting out. If you're saying go and you have to get out of here, they have to. But if somebody's just la, 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 it's just going to, piss them off. Really, when you sage your house, if you're trying to get rid of everything after you sage, you have to open front door, back door, and windows. Same as the car. Just going through and saging and leaving your doors open, you just made them mad.
Yeah. Same thing with like witches' bells or loud noises. I've always heard that can go in tandem with saging. Bang your pots on pans as you're going around the house. Cleanse it with sound. But yeah, that's very interesting. It's very cool.
Right, like the sound bowls.
Yeah, sound bowls.
That is one thing that will reset me instantly. Just the sound. It's amazing what it does to people differently. And then like at my front door, I put salt under the front door. That's
I've
to
heard
keep it out too.
Salt line, yeah. Everybody in Hocus Pocus know that it came out, the Hocus Pocus too.
I have not seen it yet.
Oh, you gotta see it.
So I do have a few questions just because as you've been saying, I'm like,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Let's see if I have the answer.
So, one, it's funny how Debbie brought up the whole Catholic stuff. So I grew up, this is very strange, and I understand it's going to sound weird. So I grew up in a very Southern Baptist and Catholic house.
Okay.
So my parents divorced. One parent stayed Catholic, and the other went Southern Baptist.
You got the best of both
Yeah.
worlds. It's
There you
okay.
go.
I love it.
Yeah.
But some of the Catholic really sticks with me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I took Sydney's class, one of the other people were in there. It's like, oh well, not all demonic spirits are actually demonic. Some of them are just super angry spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Catholic in me, it's like, no, like demonic spirits were never human.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
And they were here before.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like saying God's angels, like they're the same version, but
Right.
they go to Satan.
Right. And
And
see,
so-
you can't say, this is the way I believe it, and that's law and gospel. Everybody's going to feel that. But when you have your history and
Yeah.
I have that pretty similar history, I feel the same way.
Okay.
Demonic is demonic. That was here before the beginning of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So an angry spirit would be like just a prankster that would, hey, I can't find my keys. Where did they go?
Yeah.
But that's not demonic. They're just kind of ticked off and stuck.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what I was getting at. Was
Yeah.
how do you feel about that, and how do you view that? Because what triggered was when you said you smelt the sulfur and the demonicness. You could feel that negative energy, and you feel the differences. And
You do. You can feel the difference
if it's
between.
an angered spirit compared to a demonic spirit.
Totally,
They're
you can feel
totally
the
different
difference.
intentions.
Yes.
One of our favorite things to talk about is on like Ghost Adventures or whatever, where he always is like demonic, even though it's not a demonic spirit.
That's
Playing it up.
networking. We've got to get more viewers. Come on. Everything's
Yeah.
demonic. Demonic is out there. It is 100%. But you can tell the difference, I do believe. Demonic, when you pray the blood of Jesus over you, you're protected. So you can go in, you're fine. But the problem is people who want to play with Ouija boards and have they tend to go through depressions or whatever. Those are the personalities that they're attracted to because they have a little more of an easier time swaying them. You know what I mean? So, their possession is real. You've seen The Exorcist. It's legit. The devil is real. That can happen. But a lot of times people don't realize they're inviting it in by doing certain things. They don't know that that's what they're doing, and then it's too late. They, end up in psych wards or something because that's what happened to them. I do believe that.
So, also, my next question would be for you, like, do you believe in having, like, spirit guides that help you determine, or is it just, or do you do it solely based off of,
innately?
like, your feeling and then what you know based off of your religion, and you kind of use that?
And see, I think that's where everybody's going to be a little bit different as well. But because of my religion, I was raised Southern Baptist. My dad would even fill in for the preacher sometimes. My grandma was Methodist, little Lizzie.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded one-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that one-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that one-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On One Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at roguemedianetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a one-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.
Hey, I'm Zach,
And I'm Mike.
and we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the two of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros, Foes, Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
Bros and Foes and Heroes. Gonna tell you about Bros and Foes and Heroes. Gonna tell you about...
Hi, this is Sarah,
And I'm Carter.
and this is Some of Our Thoughts.
We're two Southern sommeliers, and we want to share everything we love and know about wine. We started hanging out during quarantine and cooking and drinking and listening to music, and we just thought this would be a great way to bring everything we know to you guys.
We will make wine knowledge and food pairings easy and approachable. So put on your favorite vinyl, grab your favorite glass of wine, tune into our show, and let's have some fun.
Wine and vinyl. So check us out on roguemedianetwork.com or wherever you get your favorite podcast. We'll be talking about a lot.
My belief and feeling is that when we're born, all of us are assigned angels. So I feel like our angels are guiding us. So that could be a spirit guide. We all have our own, that are assigned to us. And so I think when you're open to them, they can help you more. And that's probably what I would say would be my guide. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then when you had brought up the Ouija board, where do you draw the line as far as trying to communicate with the other side? So for you, it's obviously very different because, and people that are sensitive to that, they naturally can see them, hear them,
Right.
feel them.
Mm-hmm.
But for someone that doesn't have that gift and is trying to communicate, where should they draw that line?
Well, and that's where I'm going with the Ouija board is just like it's tarot cards. So some people may need that as a tool to help get more, where some people like me, I don't need it. I feel it, I sense it. That's how someone else is getting it because we all get things differently. But when you go back to that Ouija board and even the tarot cards, it's the person themselves. It's have they had a history of looking into dark things or having a negative attitude, a negative upbringing. That's where more of the darkness comes in. Whereas a positive light worker person that sees, rainbows and unicorns, they're not really, they can't get in there because they're protected more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you use any tools in your practice yourself?
I don't. In the beginning, I would like to use the dowsing rods and things like that, but it's more like even when we teach the paranormal university, each instructor has their tools they use. I don't bring anything because I don't need it. Like whenever we had the university, the very first time, it's in Marlin at the Palace Theater. It's the oldest theater or whatever.
We gotta go do a investigation.
You
there.
gotta go.
We do.
I had never ever been there, but on my drive over, I've never even been to Marlin. My drive over, I kept seeing a clock with red hands.
Oof.
10 and 2, 10 and 2, 10 and 2. So when I get there, I'm instantly drawn straight to the basement and straight upstairs.
Everybody
there was
keeps talking
nothing
about
in the
basement.
middle, but upstairs is where I felt the most. But in the basement is where Cindy saw her apparition. So see, 10 and 2 is what I was seeing. So that's the most active, and I knew that before I even got there.
Oh, wow.
And then we filmed a documentary for PBS. I don't know if I can talk about that or not, but it was I just won't say where. It was in a abandoned hotel.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going through there, and I had to let them know what I felt or saw or thought. And I started this like a week or two before we ever even went. And it's so cool whenever they get back to you and say, we have old documented newspapers, you're spot on.
Wow.
So that makes you feel good. One time I'm on an investigation, and there was a picture of a lady on one of it was an office, like a business office, and there was a picture of a lady, and I kept looking at that lady, and I kept hearing a specific name that I don't know. And I asked Cindy, I said, have you ever heard that name? And she goes, no, but let me text the owner and see if they know. She texts the owner, and the owner instantly sent a picture back of, this was my friend that passed in 2015. So you love it when you do start getting those affirmations, you know?
You kind of can connect.
You're like,
the dots.
okay, I'm not nuts.
Yeah. And when you do go out to a location to investigate, how early do you start getting,
My hits.
yeah.
It just varies. You know, like I said, when I went to this, I didn't get them until I was on the drive over. So I think my brain is like magpies all the time. So I have to zone in to start getting it. So on the drive, I'm thinking about the place, and that's when it hit. Otherwise, I'm hearing walk, 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 the grackles.
Yeah.
There was another place, a realtor asked me if I would walk through this house and see what I felt. She was trying to sell it. And I went in, they let me go in all by myself, and I came back out, and I said, okay, there's definitely something in here. I heard a kid running up the hall, running upstairs, down the hall. I look up, and the chandelier's swinging, and nobody's in there but me. And I even said, there's another room in this house, and they're like, no, we've got it all marked. I found the secret room in the house for them.
Oh, my gosh, that's so cool.
That was really neat. But this place, a young couple bought it, and they made like a restaurant in the bottom. We need to go. I want to go eat there because we told them everything we experienced or whatever. They bought it anyway. And after, I got the impression that it was a stoic woman in there, and she didn't like men. But she was okay with me because she knew I was sensitive. But when this young couple bought this place, like the second day in, she pushed him down the stairs and broke his leg.
No.
So I want to go back there and see what I pick up now that it's like a restaurant.
See if she's more happy.
But a strange story, guys. Whenever I was doing that, whenever I was finished and I got the realtor to come in, and she had a friend with her, and we're all upstairs talking, and we turn around and we're like, oh, there's a police officer standing in the hallway. And we're like, what are you doing here? And he goes, there is a hearse downstairs with two men in suits, said they're here to pick up a body. And we're like, what? We're just here to look at the house. And I go look out the window. I took pictures to make sure they were real because I see these men standing like this on the porch. We still can't explain that one. And
That's
so
wild.
the police officer stayed behind, and he said, my officers won't come over here. We get calls all the time, like 2 in the morning, lights are on upstairs. There's no electricity in this place. The electricity's turned off,
I got
everything.
goosebumps.
So yeah, we've got to go eat at this place. I'll tell y'all afterwards.
We'll take a lunch date.
Yeah. So that was probably the weirdest, because I'm like, why did a hearse come up? And like lights would flicker when I was in there, and we went and checked the breaker boxes, everything, and the police officer even told us the lines are cut. There's no electricity in this place. So
Wow, okay.
crazy.
So, how do you feel about Cameron Park? Or is that just a hot mess and you just don't even bother?
You know, when I very first moved to Waco, somebody said something about Cameron Park, and I don't know anything about it at the time when I didn't know anything about it, but instantly I said, do not go there. Do not ever go there. But I think it's more of crime rate. This is what I'm feeling.
So do you know more about the history now?
I know more now about the killings or the bodies and the witch's castle. Still the place, they fix it up. It's really nice. I've gone out there with friends, but I would never go by myself. I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable there, right?
Sorry, I just had to throw
How long
that
have
out
you been
there.
in Waco now?
I've been in Waco since 92, so quite a while.
Quite a while. So now we'll talk about your book. So The Witches of Waco. Tell us about it.
Well, you know, it was just for fun. I kind of wanted to do an homage to Grandma because, I mean, she was special to me and she was so wise. And when you get older, you say, man, I wish I would have listened more. So all the story is made up, but there's little bits and pieces that are true that I would never tell, you know, certain things that happened in there that it's legit. So it's just for fun. You know, I was banned in certain shops in Waco, and they said that it was demonic and that they had prayed over me and told me not to do that. It's all lies. But I was banned in certain places because of the name. And then people are hitting me up on Facebook, griping about it. And I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
don't judge a book by its cover. It's pretty much a love story.
Oh,
But everybody's like, you know. So I did that really just for fun, just a homage to Grandma. Her name was Lizzie Odessa. So a lot of stuff is Lizzie O's, like the lye soap she made and the sage she would have and stuff.
That's
Where
so cool.
where can they find this book?
Yeah.
In case they're interested in
Right
it.
now, it is on Amazon, or you can get it at Skellington Curiosities, which is on Bosque.
Yeah,
in
Bosque
Wa-
Square.
Right here in Waco. And then it will be at Cultivate 712 in January. Yay.
Woo. And you do artwork as well, so tell us about your artwork.
Yes. Artwork is the only way I can quiet my brain. Have you ever heard anybody say that?
Yes.
I'm that person that I'm everywhere. I'm into everything. I want to do everything, and I don't know how to slow down. But if I sit down to paint, I finally quiet my brain. So the art that I painted is not my style, but we have, 5,000 to 7,000 tourists a weekend. So I painted a Waco collection. Everything is
I
a
love it.
Waco. So when tourists are in town, I think they'll appreciate it, you know?
And where can they find that?
That is going to be at Cultivate
Cultivate.
712
January.
in January. I can't wait. It's my first,
Solo show.
yeah,
Yes.
That's
solo
exciting.
show, and everybody's excited. I think it'll be a full house. It'll be a lot of
Yay.
fun.
Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming on today. Are there any other experiences or any other stories you wanted to share with us before you go today?
You know, I'll think of it all as soon as I walk out of here. I'm like, ooh, that one was cool. I should have said that.
So, a random question before we completely close out.
What's that?
What kind of energy do you get from the both of us?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
individually and
What
then
are our
together.
energies?
You know, individually, y'all mesh though. You really do. It's like you
Oh,
can
no.
tell you. No, it's good. You can tell y'all are really close, and you can be open and
Aw,
honest
look
with
at
each
that,
other
Allison. We're so
about
cute.
anything.
Got a blast. Gotta go.
She doesn't like any mushy gushy stuff.
Well, you are more timid and reserved, and you're more like, "Hey, how are you?"
It's very true. Very
That's what I get.
Ayo.
Hey, yo. Pin us down.
Now, if you had to say who's more sensitive,
Ooh.
It would be you
Yeah.
for sure.
well, gotta go. Bye.
Well, thank you so much for coming on with us
Yes.
today,
Thank
Robby.
you, guys.
It
It
was
was
a pleasure.
Fun.
So glad to
Thank
hear
you.
your stories and find out more about some of your experiences. It's always interesting to get to listen to what other people have felt,
Yes.
seen, heard, especially around town. So we kind of get a little lay of the land, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we'll definitely have to one day get you and Sydney to come on.
Yes,
Yeah.
do a
Because
double.
I would love to have both of y'all come on.
Yep.
That'd be
Yes.
so fun. We'll have to do a live. We're still planning on doing a live podcast coming
Yes.
up on the 22nd.
There you go.
We're going to be doing the Amityville Horror Night.
Oh, I love it.
So if you want to join us, we'll be at Nexus Esports, 600 Columbus Avenue. Come and listen to some stories, and then we'll watch the movie afterwards.
Please.
So it's going to be
Yes.
fun. So join us for that, and then maybe we'll have more live shows coming up.
Ooh,
All right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
thank
I had a
you.
great time.
All right.
thanks.
Bye. Oh, you gotta do the bye with us.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go bye. 1, 2, 3.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Poltergals.
A Rogue Media Network podcast.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.